Let's talk about how you can obtain papers after May 20th, 2025, which is the date when the new immigration regulation comes into effect. That is, how you can obtain papers under the new immigration regulation, which significantly changes the immigration landscape in Spain. Well, this is your video to learn about that, so stay tuned as we are going to discover it. I am Juan Vasquez, Director of Legal in Spain, a firm specializing in immigration and Spanish nationality. And the first thing to clarify is that we are witnessing a change in residency regulation. We have a rule with the status of law, which is the immigration law. That law does not change, okay? What changes is what develops that law, which is something issued by the government. The law is issued by the legislative power, the Congress. That law is issued by Congress, and this regulation is issued by the government. So it is something with a lower status that develops the law. In that order of ideas, it's not that we are seeing structural changes, but rather more cosmetic changes, yet in many fundamental aspects. Or they have important consequences on the rights and the ease with which foreigners can access these provisions. Having said that, let's now get into the subject matter. After studying the entire new immigration regulation, the balance is undoubtedly positive. It changes more things for the better than it changes for the worse. In fact, the things that change for the worse are specific issues without being less massive or less serious. But they are not as numerous as the good things that change for the worse. The situation of asylum seekers, who are excluded from the possibility of using that time as asylum seekers. Access to residency through routes. The situation of parents of Spaniards also changes for the worse. The situation of extended families of Spaniards also changes for the worse. Probably other small things, but there is much more that changes for the better. Requirements are relaxed to access certain statuses and more rights are granted. To those statuses that already exist, more rights are granted to people like those who did not use to work. Now they use them to work, now it is easier to access them, the renewals which are now for 4 years, the renewals which are now for more years, etc. Rights are expanded, requirements are minimized, and there are some who are negatively affected, unfortunately, but the overall balance remains positive. Having said this, now specifically, in plain terms, how can I obtain papers after the new immigration regulation comes into effect? Well, as I was saying, the change is not structural, therefore, the statuses that existed under the old regulation still exist. What happens is that requirements change and rights are added or removed. So, there are many ways. I will mention the most commonly used ones, because you will surely find yourself in one of them. The options for obtaining papers in Spain will greatly depend on where you are, whether you're outside of Spain or if you are in Spain in an irregular status. In the vast majority of cases, if you are outside of Spain and have family with legal residence in Spain, they can regroup you, you can stay for studies, you can get a non-lucrative residence visa, you can be a digital nomad, a highly qualified professional, an entrepreneur, or say that you are going to start a company. They can hire you from your country of origin, but if not, if you are already in Spain, those options are reduced. And if you are in Spain and are undocumented, the options are even more limited. If you are in Spain with a regular status, you should be aware that they cannot regroup you. If the person who is going to regroup you is a foreign citizen only with legal residence in Spain, and you are in Spain, even if you have your legal stay and are not in an irregular status, they will not be able to regroup you because to carry out that process you will need to be outside of Spain. The same applies to a non-lucrative residence, for example. This category only allows for a visa. Therefore, the visa must be requested at a consulate, meaning you have to be outside of Spain. Certain cases involving relatives of Spaniards, such as parents, children over 25, or extended family, are also not eligible. Even if you are in Spain with a regular status, in principle, you will not be able to apply, you will need to be outside. And if you are in Spain but in an irregular status, then your options are basically limited. Either to find a Spanish partner or someone with the nationality of an EU country, Switzerland or the European Economic Area, or to pursue the well-known arraigos, which are permits that require you to have been in an irregular status in Spain for at least 2 years and to be able to prove various things, which are basically 5 that you can prove or that you are going to study. We recommend something of at least 3 months and it cannot exceed 2 years. Or that they have economic means in the form of a formal job offer, a business project. Or that a first-degree relative, such as a parent, child or partner, is financially responsible for you, or that you have some savings. Basically, if you have been in Spain for 2 years, during which you have not left for more than 90 days, you need to be able to prove it well either with your registration certificate or with other evidence, such as medical visits, money transfers, bills. Things related to public administrations are very important to be spread out over time, not just one piece of evidence here, another in 6 months, another in 4 months. No, they should be consistent, and ideally, the registration certificate is the key proof in these types of situations. If you have that and can prove one of the 5 things I mentioned earlier, which I will repeat because they are extremely important, studying or committing to study something at an institution authorized by the government of Spain, which leads to obtaining a degree. We recommend that it be at least 3 months, and at most it can be 2 years. That is 1. 2, having a job offer for at least 20 hours from a company personally, where you will have to earn proportionally the minimum wage. That is, at least half of the minimum. 3, a business project that is well structured and ready to go. That the business plan is approved by a self-employed association, that you have the degree, if it is necessary to have it, that you have the administrative permits if they are required. And in any case, that you have the financing, which will vary depending on the business project. 4, that you have parents, children, or a partner authorized to reside in Spain, and that they can prove they are financially responsible for you because they have economic means. 5, that you have financial means on your own, that you have your savings, which should be at least 7,200 euros as of today. And with that, in 2 years, you could obtain a residence and work authorization in Spain. The work in all cases, whether for others or self-employed, with only one limitation. In the case of studies, which is called socio-educational routes, if you choose that, then the maximum you could work would be 75% of the legal maximum working hours, which as of today is 30 hours per week. Maximum because it is understood that you are pursuing full-time studies and you need to balance that. This is a very general overview, but basically it's to help you understand that depending on your case, it might be feasible to regularize your status. Being in Spain, or depending on your case, it might be best for you to be outside of Spain, depending on your situation, what you can prove, and the type of authorization you want. So it's very important that you monitor your situation before coming to Spain, that you have it defined. Remember, in the pinned comment, you have a link. There you can schedule a consultation with me or a member of my team. Most of these consultations are free, and we would conduct them based on your personal situation and your interests. The best path towards your legal residency and/or your nationality. Additionally, we have a satisfaction guarantee whereby if you do not obtain your nationality, if you do not obtain your residency, you do not pay us. Assent applies in terms and conditions. I will explain it to you on the day of the consultation. The constede or a member of my team will, but in general terms it works like this. Also remember that you can leave any specific questions in the comments. Thank you for those comments. Thank you for your like. Thank you for sharing this video. Even if you think it might be useful, don't forget that we have an Instagram, Allegrans Official, where we post somewhat funny things with a relaxed tone to create that closeness, that camaraderie among migrants. So go there, you're sure to have fun, and above all, don't forget to subscribe. It's the most important thing. Subscribe here or here, and at some point a video will pop up that will surely interest you, so go watch it. See you next time. Goodbye.